Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. We right here right now in full effect right now, doing it what it do. It's your boy the Joker, the Overlook MC, back here on Underground Lounge, doing it what it do on IBP Media Group. We here in full effect, man. You know what I mean? Bit Daddy Kane first KRS One versus, man. We gonna talk about it. We gonna break it down. We gonna break down hip hop a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Live and direct right here on IVP Media. You know what I'm saying? I was live on the Facebook talking about marketing and all that. So now I'm back again on the IVP Media side. The description. In the description, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Those who want to follow me on the music side. If you want to follow, also subscribe to the YouTube channel as we speak right now. We live on YouTube. We live on like 9 different platforms right now as we speak. Your boy the Joker. So make sure you go ahead and click the YouTube subscription and make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all the other podcasts that we do. This is gonna be a nice little quick one, man. We're gonna definitely talk about it. You know what I mean? Um, the KRS One versus Big Daddy Kane, or I should say Big Daddy Kane versus uh KRS One, because Big Daddy Kane approached him, so they've been talking about it. Um, let me break it down, the difference in that era where Big Daddy Kane was at and between where KRS One was at. On This is just straight history of hip hop right here. Um, One thing I said about Big Daddy Kane is Big Daddy Kane knew he wanted mainstream. He was a mainstream MC. He wasn't really, he was underground in the beginning of his career, but then he just did his thing when he got signed. And KRS One, even though KRS One was signed, he still stuck to the underground. I remember like in the middle of like maybe 1995, but people always say that cats they sell no records. Now they trying to come back to the underground. And I believe KRS One started that saying. Yeah, because the underground was very solid back then, like it is now. Um, the underground was on a whole nother wave in the late '80s and in the early '90s. And I'm not gonna understand that people think that they picked Kane to win because he was in the radio. His videos is on rotation more than KRS One's in the beginning because when it got about 91, 92, MTV didn't like KRS One. BET didn't like KRS One. Because they didn't like real hip hop then. They started transition into the more mainstream hip hop and the rap music. But Kane didn't really get into the mixtape game like KRS One. He didn't really even go on the streets and battle it that much back then either. He kept it on record. KRS One stayed in the streets of hip hop. He stayed in the mixtape game solid. He got a solid 25 albums. He just released another album last week. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go ahead and Google that. That joint is nice. Um, he's been putting in work on the mixtape side. I remember back in the day when every time KRS One came out with an album, he always came out with a mixtape, then the album, but then he came out with another mixtape to respond to the album that people used to say. KRS One, all his whole career, KRS One's whole career used to make diss tracks on the top 10 200 in hip hop charts, dissing every rapper on the top 10. You know what I mean? That pretty much could destroy your career. That he was in the hip hop form. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Big Daddy Kane fan. I love Big Daddy Kane. I used to rock his CD to cassettes. I used to buy everything he came out with because I like his metaphors. I like his style. I like his speed flow. I liked it, all the things he was doing, man. I was a solid fan, but also at that time too, I was also an underground MC like I am right now, and I stayed in the culture of hip hop, what was going on the streets. I was hearing back then. I was hearing a lot of that stuff that was on albums that people was which was checking out, I was getting those mixtapes and them those joints downtown Buffalo back in the day. The cat that said the oils, those who from Buffalo probably remember this in the '90s when you can go downtown, the man out there with the bootlegs, he had the oils, the incense, and all that, and he had a whole box. I don't know if y'all remember. There's a whole box of just tapes. It had no names on it. Had no DJ names on it. He had some with DJ names on it. They had like the DJ Clues, DJ Kicker pre-mix tapes, DJ Hollywood and all that. But they had all types of. But they also had mixtapes where up and coming DJs used to put together and sell them to the bootlegger, and they sell it for the bootlegger for a big price. And then he used to have like a duplication cassette, and then he used to put them in there and just put them in there. He'll play it. He had a radio out there on the table and play the mixtape. So when you go to the table, you be like, "Yo, what's that? Yo, this is a mistake right here," and ain't nothing on it. But you just sit there, you just listen to it. And once you get to hear like three or four tracks, you be like, you got your Walkman on. You like, I gotta get that. That was hip hop. In the time I was hearing a lot of artists before they dropped. Oh, I heard Black Moon for Black Moon drop. I heard the Wu Tang stuff before they came out with the 36 Chambers. I heard Poe Righteous Teachers before his album came out. I heard a lot of hip hop on the underground back then. In the KRS One used to be on each and every one of them. It was a couple little mixtapes that Big Daddy Kane did intro on a couple mixtapes. Mr. C did it. He was doing mixtapes back then. I had a Mr. C mixtape. He did an intro on it. I heard Jay Z for the first time on that joint with Jazzo. So it was a lot of mixtapes. But see, Kang was only on a couple of them joints. KRS One was on each and every one of those mixtapes back in the day. So he was on a whole different type of market of music even back then. That's why his catalog is so thick. And the things that he did last night, he brought the culture to the table. Big Daddy Kane brought the culture to the table. You know what I mean? They brought the four elements of hip hop to the table. You know what I mean? Like right now, okay, hip hop is hip hop, but you know what I mean? If you if you ain't in if you ain't connected to those four elements of last night and don't understand it, then you don't understand hip hop. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Okay, hip hop won last night, because they came together and gave you. He took a lot of people to school, especially the new age people that's doing the trap, the mumble rap, and the mumble pop, the trap pop R&B. Them artists that's coming in talking about they better than Pac and Biggie and all that type of stuff. But last night, if they was watching that, believe me, they didn't have no understanding last night. A lot of people that probably watched that joint last night was in you know, that's not from the era, definitely was, stuck, didn't understand, but it was hot. They enjoyed it. But they took a lot of people to school last night. It gave me a lot of memories last night on that verses. Um, what Karis One did last night gave you a sample of what he was ready to do for the industry. That rhyme he said last night was ready for this joint. And I'm pretty sure he had a lot more, but at the same time, he kept 100 and kept it to the culture of the verses. It said, y'all running out of records. He got 25 albums. Let's break down the mainstream to underground. I remember seeing KRS One on a lecture in Kentucky back in the day, back when I was living down south. I remember him saying in his lecture, this conference that I went to, I didn't really get just a meeting because there was so many people. I was in the back row, but he was on stage, and I remember him saying, I remember KRS One said that I don't flash jewels, I don't flash the car I drive, I don't even flash the house I have. You know what I mean? And at that time, he said, but I can match half of the people in the industry's pockets. He said, I choose not to have $1 million home. But he said, but my home is worth 500,000. You know what I mean? And I'm living comfortable. I'm good. I'm not broke. He said I can go to the Diddy's back in that time and say he said that I can pretty much match at that time. This was back in maybe 2000 and I seen KRS from that conference in Kentucky. That was like in 2006. And he was at that time he said I can match what the big dogs doing in the industry. I don't have to flash a Bentley. I don't have to have jewels on my neck. I don't have, I'm a hip hop. I'm gonna have my jeans with my sneakers. How he was dressed last night, he always dressed like that. That's hip hop. You know what I mean? Big Daddy Kane always dressed like that with the suits and all that. You know what I mean? He did that before Diddy. Hip hop. You know what I mean? So so last night took the whole culture from the fashion to DJing, MCing, freestyle, written, performance. You notice when they perform, it was just the MC and the DJ. That's hip hop. But now cats get on stage, you got about 30 or 40 people on stage. You know what I mean? Unless you Griselda, because they have a lot of people on stage too, but they organize. You know what I mean? They organize with it. That's hip hop. Because Wu Tang used to have the Wu Killer Bees. After they built the Killer Bees, they used to have the original Wu. Then they had the Killer Bees set up the same format as Griselda do when they on stage. They had the Killer Bees, and they had the Wu Chambers in the front performing, and they had the Killer Bees on the side, DJ Mathematic in the middle. That's still hip hop. But a lot of people have all them people on stage jumping around. You don't know who got the mic. You don't know. See, last night gave you the simple layout of the culture of hip hop. Hip hop won. Understand me? No doubt. This your boy, the Joker, the Overlook MC, man. Our first single is dropping on the 31st under the Joker, the Overlook MC. I'm going to show you how to really do this stream thing. You understand me? Because the Haters album was hard copies. I sold over 10,000 copies. Without the team, I'm going to show you how to do this stream thing. First single dropping. You know what I'm saying? The Punisher, produced by B. Frankie featuring Caleb Bishop, dropping on the 31st of this month. All platforms. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the digital radio stations is playing it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Straight from the Underground Radio playing it. Shout out to Famous Hip Hop Radio playing it. And I also got a lot of other hip hop stations requesting it. And I will be sending that soon. So check that out. And keep on rocking with IBP Media. This your boy right here, the Joker to Overlook MC. No doubt. You be safe. And yes, in 2022, you know what I mean, coming straight out of Buffalo, yes, I will stop being overlooked in 2022. Believe that. You know what I'm saying? Shutting down the whole upstate New York and then some. Word up. Joker. Yeah, I called y'all out. Respond.